He does impersonations of all the doctors.
Have you ever heard of Jason Fung? Who else? Oh yeah, Paul Mason.
No.
But he does a really good Carrie impersonation too.
Wow. Justin and Hayley, how did you find Carnivore?
Let me start.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, back in 2017, I started to develop numb feet in my hands, numbness in my hands and feet. And that was when I was 24 years old. And I was also very tired all day, really thirsty and hungry, constantly ravenously hungry all day. And I fell for the whole eat 6 meals a day, eat 6 small meals a day to keep your metabolism just chugging away. That's a great idea. It's like, oh, great, because I love eating, so this is going to work out well. But my hands and feet continued to grow more numb for longer periods throughout the day. And so I was desperate and did not trust the doctors. And so I started to research online. And it was pretty quickly after that research that I realized, oh, wow, I have diabetes. So it was so bad that I would get a real small cut on my leg or my ankle, and it would fester. It would stay an open wound for weeks, even though it should have just closed up and been a little. It should have only been a couple days of a scrape or a scab, but it wouldn't scab up. So it was a long time for wound healing, along with the numbness. And there was a crack in my heel that was so deep, and I could feel it when it was deeper into the cracked heel, but it was terrible. And I was 24 years old, and my mom says, well, you're getting older, you know. And I'm like, oh boy. I grew up on having sodas and Captain Crunch and Fruit Loops and margarine and white bread, all the stuff, all the good stuff, you know. So it was really obvious when I did look and research and started to discover people like Dr. Ken Berry and Dr. Berg and Paul Mason and Ben Bickman and Amy Berger and Nina Turchholz and Jason Fong, and there's so many others.
Eric Westman.
Eric Westman, and they're all on a similar pathway, which is keto. You know, getting into ketosis and eliminating carbohydrates. So that helped me immediately. Immediately, when I stopped consuming sugar in all forms, I started to feel better. So another thing that I began immediately was fasting for 18 hours every single day. And I felt so good that I did this religiously because it was like a second life given to me right away. So my feet came back. I was no longer hungry or tired all day. I had all this energy, and it just felt like I had a brand new life. And that was with keto alone. But I was eating tons of plants, and I felt that it was so hard for me to hold on to weight. Like I wanted to gain a little bit of muscle weight, and it seemed to be a struggle until incorporating more of a carnivore approach to just eating mostly meat, and things got better with mostly meat. So it's just been kind of a wild ride to go from thinking I was going to die, you know, and not make it to 30 years old at 24, and here I am at 30, and I feel like I could go to maybe 120.
And so how long have you been doing this?
Since 2018.
Since 2018. Oh wow. So you kind of had these problems, and you went okay, I'm doing something about it now. There was no real waiting. You just researched and started.
Yeah. Because so before that, I had some stomach problems, and I went to the doctor for that one time. That was a couple years before that, so maybe 2013. I went to a doctor for stomach issues, and they did a gluten test. So that came back and said, you're not gluten intolerant, but you may have a non-celiac gluten intolerance. So it's kind of up in the air. Like maybe gluten's not the best. So I started to go gluten free, and you know that if you go gluten free, you're still eating tons of carbohydrates, but you're eliminating the gluten. And I tried to stay organic, but while doing that, all these symptoms developed. I was also drinking, really sweetened beverages, alcoholic beverages, but it was all had to do with all the sugar causing the spike in insulin and the drop of it, and then the resistance. So it was pretty obvious after that, and I became just really passionate about it, and I convinced my whole family to do it. Took them a lot of repetitive yelling at them like, you guys got to stop eating carbs. Doesn't matter how whole grain they are or how organic they are, you got to stop eating them. And my dad lost 100 pounds. My mom lost about 60 to 80 pounds, and my sister lost about 60 pounds. And I eventually helped her out with her, because she started to do it too. And so since that happened, I've just still been passionate about it, and I've been keto to this day.
So you're back to keto now, or you're still more carnivore?
I say ketovore now because
Um,
I like coffee. I still have coffee, and I use sweetener. Like I just use stevia, pure stevia, nothing else. But I definitely feel optimal when I'm eating meat and getting enough meat in.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, you can really tell that the meat is what we need to be eating.
Yeah. So I just got one more question for you at this stage, Justin, and then I'd like to kind of hear from Hayley. Justin, like when you were 24 and you were experiencing these issues, was there other indications that you were diabetic? Like, were you overweight?
I had about, I would say, 40 extra pounds in body fat. So yeah, I was a little overweight. I was at my heaviest at about 194. I think I remember 194 pounds, and I'm 5'11".
Mhm.
That's 5 foot 11 inches,
Yeah.
194. And within like a month, I was down to 160, and
Wow.
maybe 2 months, a month or two. It would seem so quick, and everybody was saying, "Oh my God, you're getting too skinny," and my clothes were baggy, and I had to keep making a new belt hole, little loop, and so so that happened. So I would say I was about 40 pounds overweight,
Mm. Okay.
and I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Berg, but he advocates for like
Yeah.
all the kale you can possibly eat. And so I was doing that. I was doing kale smoothies, and I felt great, but I felt too skinny, not muscular enough. And I don't think we need to eat kale.
I think you're right. So Hayley, how about you? What's happened from your side?
Okay, so I started back in 2019. I went through a really hard time. I had a miscarriage, and it was a partial molar pregnancy. I don't know if you've ever heard about that, but basically, like there was like a bunch of tumors in my uterus, and the baby died. And I was like going through a really hard time with that. I was super depressed. Like my mental health was so bad. Um, yeah, I was just like, I need something. I need a change. And I saw this girl on Instagram, this girl I knew that I worked with. She was pretty big, and she lost so much weight with keto. And I was like, no way. Like if she can do it, I can do it. I can feel better. And I didn't really know what keto was, like the scientific aspect of it, what ketosis was. I just knew that you can eat like bacon and eggs and avocados, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm down for that. So I looked up all these recipes, and I just started making it. And I posted on my Snapchat story a keto recipe, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I've been keto for 2 years now." And like we kind of reconnected. We've been friends since like 18. I was 18, so it's been a while, but keto is kind of what reconnected us. And he was basically my guru. Any kind of question I had, he would tell me. With fasting too, I was like so new to all this. I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember I started fasting, and I would get so weak and tired and not feeling well. And I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. I was drinking way too much water and not getting any salt. And I was like, wow. He's like, yeah, you need to like keep your electrolytes balanced. You need more salt. And I remember taking like a little bit of salt in my hand and eating it. And I was like instantly so much better. I was like, oh my God, that's what I needed. Yeah. So that was like my little trick. So I started doing fasting more. My longest fast is 72 hours. I haven't really went past that, but I'm trying to think. But yeah, I started. My daughter was 3 years old when I started keto, and she's 7 now. And it was pretty easy to transition her. She would eat anything until we got to kindergarten. Once she got to kindergarten and I was sending her keto lunches to school, I remember telling the teachers, the school, I was like, she's gluten-free, soy-free, like basically everything free. Like she can't have your food at all, like not even a snack or nothing. I'm that mom. But all these little kids were making fun of her with just what she was eating. I would pack her these cute little sandwiches with lettuce buns, and like I don't know, the kids were just making fun of her. And she's like, Mom, I don't want to eat this anymore. I'm done. Like, no. And I was like, no, this is the right way to eat. You're gonna live to be 120. I was like, come on, you got this. But actually, I after her first year of kindergarten, I decided it was best for our family to homeschool, and so she wasn't like around all that, and feeling left out and lonely. And we've just been like talking about nutrition, and just it's funny because like we go to the grocery store and she's looking at the back of the labels and stuff. Oh, there's soybean oil in this. And it's so funny. When she's playing in the bathtub, she'll have like these little food or whatever, like toy food, and there's these crackers, and she's like, look there's keto crackers. And like it's just everything's keto when she's playing, and it's the cutest. But yeah, I was doing keto up until this year, January. I started carnivore. I've been kind of ketovore though for like the last year before. He kind of got me onto ketovore, more heavier meat. And then, I know when I was doing the keto though, like I was having a lot of almond flour, the keto treats, and my stomach, it just did not work for me. I would have these pains so bad, and I'd be running to the bathroom, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. So I noticed in January when I cut all of these things out, I cut everything. I was doing meat, salt, water, and that's it. Oh, eggs. I did eggs and a little bit of cheese. I did the Dr. Anthony Chaffee's 30-day challenge. So I was like, yeah. And then my brother actually did it with me. And we just bought a bunch of meat and just ate that. And I felt the best I've ever felt in my life. Like so much energy, so much. I didn't have cravings. All my cravings went away. I was like, wow. Because he's still ketovore. So he has his like strawberry smoothies with the stevia and all of this stuff. And I'm like, nope, I'm not
naughty.
Doing
I'm
it.
not perfect. But there's no sugar. I'm not going to eat sugar ever again.
Yeah, he's done with the sugar. But I was like strict. I was like, nope, I'm not doing any of that. And my stomach felt good. But after the 30-day challenge, I was like, maybe I'll just have one smoothie, just one. And man, the dairy, it really messes with my stomach. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't work for me. Sweeteners maybe, but so I'm mostly strictly carnivore. Sometimes I'll do some spices now instead of just salt, but and onions, I've added those, and I don't seem to have a problem with that. So I do a little bit of flavor, but mostly it's like all meat. And I feel great. I actually my brother passed away 2 years ago. It might be a little longer now, but he passed away from epilepsy. He had epilepsy, and I just wonder if it was because of his diet. He ate so much sugar, and I tried to like get him to eat healthier foods, and he also had like all the frozen chicken nuggets and would fry it up in the deep fryer with soybean oil. I'm like, oh my gosh. And it was, yeah, rough. But anyways, after he passed away, we realized, well, actually before he passed away, a couple months before he passed away, he had a child that he just found out was his. And I have guardianship of her now, and we got her on the ketogenic diet for her epilepsy because she has epilepsy just like him. And we did find out she has autism as well. So she's been nonverbal up until she started keto. And she's talking, she can answer yes and no questions now and communicate her needs, which is amazing. She's growing so quick and it's so wild. Yeah, she's saying her vowels, a, e, oo, and it's just so wild to see her being able to talk more. And her balance was so off before with all of her medications. And we are finally, today's the first day she's not taking one of her meds. She got weaned off of her benzo, and we did a slow wean, but she's doing amazing. And even like everybody at the daycare, all of her therapists are just seeing so much improvement with her. They're just like, wow, this is wild.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
super
awesome.
cool. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm actually, this is my biggest passion because it's healed my life and their lives. And I want to like share it with the world. And I also am starting a little business for homeschooling kids. So my dream is to create a little gym class for kids and a carnivore class where we can take them to like the farm and like the butcher shop, but also like teach them how to work out and just be healthy. It's mostly just play and stuff that I'm like imagining, just having fun through play. But yeah, I'm in the works of that right now, getting that all set up. I do have my certified personal trainer certificate, so I'm just creating a class right now, and then hopefully this will work out.
That's
Because
great.
like my biggest dream is to be able to take my kids to work with me and they have fun and homeschool, and like they're just, I don't know, that's just my favorite thing to think of.
I know that you've known each other for a while, you mentioned, but like when you actually came together, is that like that's kind of based on keto? Like that's how you
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
like
Basically.
keto romance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because she would say, you know, what is this going to be okay for me to eat? You know, and it would maybe be peanut butter with some canola oil in it, and I'd have to explain to her like, well, it's keto technically, but it's horribly inflammatory because of the hydrogenated seed oils that are, you know, in that product. And
Yeah, he told me so much. I didn't know anything.
The little nooks and crannies that can get you in a lot of pain, you know, while you're trying to help your body out, and then you'll run into these keto products that are just destroying your health, I think, in my opinion. But so yeah, little things that would help her with it. So she wanted to learn more about it, and that's where we would spend more time together. And
I'd go over to his house and make a keto recipe with him, like meals and stuff, and we'd hang out. And we were looking up one time how to make homemade yogurt, and that was fun. Yeah, we just do a bunch of.
And if we do order out, we know we're not going to look at each other like, no bun. What are you doing? You got to have a bun.
One time I did order a bun. This was in the very beginning. I've fallen off with keto. I fell off a lot. There was months that I would go like just on the standard American diet, eating this garbage food at my work because it was always there. And I just had a hard time with it. But I think more so once my niece became a part of my life, I tried to make like healthier choices more. And like I've been very strict with it since carnivore though. Once carnivore, like that's where my body's like, yeah, I can't be eating any of this stuff. We did go to Florida in March, and we were like, okay, one day of sushi.
We went.
Oh my God, my stomach was so bad. I could not ever. I'm never gonna do that again. Seriously, I was like so bloated. I looked so pregnant, and I was like, this is so bad. Yeah.
I think though, you know, sometimes we kind of see these things as, you know, we're having a cheat or something like that, but Um, actually, I think those times are good for us in some ways, like because it's a good reminder to yourself, like I'm never going back here.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've
The
had to
brain
fall
fog.
off quite a bit, but always in the back of my mind, I knew keto was the way. And, just low carb, get away from all these bad oils, bad ingredients, like the least amount of ingredients as possible is the best. And yeah, I was struggling with keto, but with carnivore, I don't really struggle anymore. I feel way better. I was trying to get my dad to go carnivore. He's almost there.
Oh
He's been
wow.
for a couple years now, and my dad's been doing the fasting. He's got up to 5 days. I'm really proud of that. I could never. Maybe I could, but yeah. My brother, he is awesome. Yeah, he's been doing keto for like a year. He lost so much weight. His transformation is epic. You'll probably have to do an interview with him next. Yeah.
So it's really good that you've been able to have so much influence in your families, both of you. Like this is it's kind of the MLM method of spreading carnivore sort of thing, right? It's like you tell three people, and each of those people tell three people, and
Kinda, yeah.
like yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Our biggest
so
passion.
how are you eating day to day?
Well, today I had steak for breakfast with a bunch of butter on it and salt, and then for dinner I had the same thing. And I had one piece of string cheese, but that's all I ate today.
I had my coffee. I have my coffee in the morning I put some heavy cream in it. Lately, I've been doing heavy cream in my coffee in the morning. Um, and then I had some later in the day. I had some turkey and an all beef hot dog, which is it's all grass fed hot dog. So it's not some hydrolyzed corn protein or anything like that or soy protein. It's so it was a beef hot dog, and then I had some of the steak that she made.
Yeah.
That was delicious. Yeah.
But that we eat the same thing a lot of the times. Like I've noticed I don't really like I definitely don't like ham. I don't like ham anymore, and I don't like chicken. Chicken hasn't been my favorite since starting carnivore. But I love steak. Ribeye steak is my favorite, and I love um what else? Oh, bacon and eggs.
Yeah, bacon and eggs.
That's like a
Yeah.
staple in our house. Like every day we have bacon and eggs
Yeah.
for breakfast, and the girls love it. They are like, "Can you mix the bacon with the eggs?" And I'm like, "Heck yeah, I can." So I do that every morning, and yeah, I'll give them a little cottage cheese with it. And the girls do get some, like a very small amount of berries. We do give them berries, but they're basically like ketovore, like heavy meat. Yeah.
So, how old are you guys now? So, Justin, you're 30.
31. I forgot. I just had a birthday, so I'm actually 31 now.
Okay, 31.
And I will be turning 30 in May 17th, soon, coming up here.
Oh, wow. Wow. Early happy birthday to you.
Thank
Um,
you.
so I don't know if you'll remember this. Maybe this is too old, or too long ago for you to remember. When I was a kid, um, if you said you're eating bacon and eggs for breakfast, people would have been running away from you screaming like you were radioactive, you know? And when people ate eggs, it was like you got to have an egg white omelet. You can't have the yolks. That's just dangerous, you know?
Yeah.
Like we were frightened of everything.
Yep. I remember hearing that.
You remember, yeah.
My mom had, I can't believe it's not butter. Margarine was always in the
Oh,
refrigerator
same.
because she was under the impression that animal fat's no good. So get rid of the butter, start using these lubricants and lamp oils, and so so I remember that. Yeah. And it's still prevalent. You'll see that you'll see comments, oh, you're going to have a heart attack, this and that. You need fiber, and you need carbs. And it's all not true. You don't need carbs.
Yeah, I grew up in my dad was a single dad, and he raised me and my brothers. And yeah, we had a lot of frozen pizzas, hot pockets, cereal, bread, bologna. Yeah, basically a bunch of TV dinners, a bunch of stuff that we could just make easily because he had to work late, and yeah, we'd just make ourselves dinner after school. And I had bronchitis like quarterly. Basically, every season I would get bronchitis and I'd have to take antibiotics. And I was always on antibiotics as a kid. And because I took the antibiotics, I would get yeast infections and then have to take an antifungal. And like I would have gastritis all the time, and they give me Miralax. And like I was just the worst digestive problems. I always called it, or my mom would call me into school because I wasn't feeling well. And I started getting in trouble for not going to school because I just didn't feel good. I was also suffering with like severe anxiety and depression as a kid and a teenager. And yeah, it's been I went through a lot. I was on all these
Yeah.
meds. I was diagnosed with ADHD. So I was on Adderall, and then I was taking like uh clonazepam and like all these medications. And yeah, I once I turned 18, I stopped all of the meds. I was like, nope, I'm done. And I started like incorporating exercise more. And then I was still doing the standard American diet, though. I wasn't feeling better. I was trying to be better, but I didn't know what route to go. But then when he showed me about the keto, that's when it all kind of changed. And like it started clicking more. And like,
The sad diet.
the sad diet. I was so sad. But yeah, I didn't realize. Oh, yeah.
Can you just on the meds? Can you kind of contrast what the feeling was like when you're on the meds, then you stopped at 18, and then when you started keto, like those 3 points? Like, do you remember what the differences might have been?
Well, I know I was a really big hot mess when I was on those medications because I was also like, um, I just was in a chaotic point in my life. But I noticed once I stopped the medication, I did feel a lot better in my brain. Like I didn't feel so crazy. I was like, I felt like it made me crazier, the medication. And I know continued with the sad diet for a while, quite a few years until I did keto. But once I did keto, like my anxiety, my just mental health got so much better. I felt amazing. I still feel amazing.
That's so good to hear, that this ketogenic style of diets is really an option for people to consider before they go towards the medication route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely don't like the medication route because I've been down it so many times. And yeah, I know that we don't need it. I don't know. I just feel like there's another way. There's always another way, a better way, and this is it. I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you know, I mean, there's probably cases where it's a requirement for some people in some situations. They need to be medicated for different reasons, but it does feel like the medical establishment, if you want to call it that, and the pharmaceutical business is really, you know, they treat people as if they're fundamentally broken, and we need medical assistance constantly to be able to maintain a certain level of we're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you ask me, which nobody did, but I think it's a very large global and multi-generational conspiracy to keep the masses sick. That's my opinion. And yeah, there's a lot of legitimate ignorance, genuine stupidity, but a lot of it, this would not be the way it is if it weren't done on purpose to a large degree. So like, I don't know specifics, but you hear different doctors talk about studies that were purposely hidden, purposely not talked about because they didn't get the results they wanted to. So we could see what they've been doing over time with Ansel Keys. He himself knew that the LDL, cholesterol is not the problem. And there's just so many lies. like Dr. Ken Berry says, your doctor's lying to you. But lies my doctor told me. Is your doctor lying to you? Because he's lying to me. Nikisha and I know that. Do you?
He does impersonations of all the doctors.
I think it's conspiracy.
Yeah.
To a large part, but we don't want to get down that rabbit hole too much. But they're just making money every corner we turn. My friend's mom, hadn't seen her in years, and I saw her out of the blue one day, and I didn't even recognize her because she was so large. And I noticed that she was wearing a continuous glucose monitor was stuck in her arm, and I said, "Oh, cool, you have one of those, so it's telling you when your blood sugars are high. Then, so then you must know what to stay away from." And apparently, no, it just tells them that they need to take more insulin more often. They know when to take their insulin. So instead of, hey, I'm going to stay away from this, no, it's, now I need to take my insulin. And so they had her on insulin and metformin and sugar pills for when the insulin brought her sugar too low. You could bring her sugar right back up. Just straight up roller coaster, up and down all your life until your limbs fall apart, your vision goes bad, and you can't think straight. Oh man.
It's awful. And I feel so sorry for someone like her because she's doing what she thinks is right because that's what she's been told, right? It's like no one's bothered to tell her what anything means except when that goes up, it means stab yourself with this thing.
Yep. And she was told to eat 50 grams of carbohydrate every day, 3 times a day.
Per meal.
So that's 150 grams of carbohydrate to this severe diabetic. And then you send insulin home with them and some sugar pills. Are you kidding me? Holy cow. And you could eliminate all that practically overnight by just stop shoving carbohydrate down your neck.
Yeah. But then then you have all the doctors out there. As soon as you say like get rid of the carbohydrates, then it's but what about fiber? What about this? What about this? What about this?
Yeah.
So you guys have been pretty successful in getting other family members involved in keto or carnivore. What advice would you give someone to if they're not feeling well and you want to introduce carnivore to them? How would you do it?
I would probably start them off on keto, and then slowly explain to them that they should fill up on mostly meat. I would explain to them that you need to eliminate carbohydrates because you have to understand that when you eat carbohydrates, you're going to spike insulin, and insulin is a fat storing hormone. So you're going to eat carbohydrates, raise blood sugar, which is going to raise insulin then, which is going to store the sugar in the form of fat into your body and organs. So if you keep doing that, you're not going to have any energy because it's all trying to be stored. So you won't have access to energy. So I would just try to tell them they need to first get rid of all the carbohydrates and sugar, which is the same thing, and try to eat as much meat as possible because that's where we're going to get our nutrition from, is the meat. And slowly try to just transition to where you're eating almost only meat or 100% meat if you can.
When I try to get people to go carnivore, like I say how easy it is compared to keto because you don't have to even count your carbs if you're not eating them. Yeah. It's so much easier going to the grocery store and just going to the meat section and then get some butter and eggs. Like I just love it just for the convenience. And it's way easier to just make a bunch of meat than to make all these meals, these keto meals that I've made for years that it's so much work and time consuming with I don't know. It's way easier, and that's how
I would tell them to try it because it
for
saved
30
my
days.
life. It saved my life, and I think it could save theirs too.
Yeah, just try it for 30 days, and I feel like you'll feel so much better. You won't want to go back, and then when you do go back, you're gonna be like, yeah, I really shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should continue. I definitely feel like that's happened to me, and that's what keeps me going.
Yeah, you
just
can't
the feeling good.
You can't access your body fat. until you drop those carbs.
Yeah.
And there's people walking around with hundreds of thousands of calories, so much energy on their body, but they are tired and weak because they don't have access to all that energy. So as soon as they drop the carbs and eliminate the inflammation through all the plant matter, they'll just immediately feel better. And the only hard part is the cravings and what we're used to, and it's all
changing
around
the
us.
routine of it. I think that's a hard thing for people to do, is just like going to the grocery store and not buying those certain things. And like, yeah, like I think that was a big change for me with the carnivore, was like, oh wow, it was actually surprising. I was like, wow, I don't have to buy all these things now. Like, that's cool. But like, I know other people would be like, dang, I'm kind of sad probably. But I don't know, it takes time to figure it out. And I do think every time you do fall off, it helps you get back on.
Yeah, you're right, Dave. You got the negative reinforcement. Like, ow.
That has been my biggest, like, the negative reinforcement from every time I did that.
Her daughter will go and visit her father, and she'll come home and she'll just be angry. She'll be in a mood, and she'll say, my stomach hurts. And we'll say, well, what did you eat? And I had candy bars, some bananas,
a donut with frosting and filling on the inside, and he's getting better. I've been trying to get him to just be their only meat, but there's times where he still throws her off. And I noticed it was really bad before, because she'd spend the whole week with me and then go to his house on the weekend, and then she'd come home and it was just a mess. Like, just felt horrible. Just crying, and I'm like, what is going on, dude? So I'm just like, man, she's probably like withdrawing from sugar right now. And so I was like, hey, can you like try to keep her on board and on the same path? Because like, this is really messing her up, like, let's just. And he was telling me, he's like, I don't have enough money to buy these things. And he went and got a Little Caesars pizza, $5 pizza. And I was like, you could go to Quick Trip. That's a gas station around here in these parts. But you can go there and buy some eggs and bacon for $5. And he's like, no way. And I was like, yeah. And I mean, it's not like the best quality, but hey, it's way better than a pizza.
Yeah.
So now he goes to the Quick Trip and gets her eggs and bacon. And I'm like, heck yeah.
Yeah.
And she's gotten so much better. Her moods have been so much better. She's sleeping better.
Like, you really have to change the minds of everyone that you run into. If they still, otherwise they look at you like you're crazy for eating this way. Like.
I think part of the thing that's difficult about introducing this to other people is what you've just said there about educating your ex there, Hayley, is people just don't know.
Right, I know.
They don't know what the good food is, and they don't know that it can be cheaper. And it's a process of education, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they think that the word healthy food means like
spending all this
the most gourmet, more gourmet granola bars from Japan or something that's got to be imported. It's like no, and like you said, they just don't know that they could get all their nutrition out of meat.
Yeah.
Then they wouldn't have to buy anything else.
And the point you made before about just give it 30 days, that is so important, because that gets you over the hump of the cravings, I think.
Stopped having cravings around like the 2-week mark, and I didn't even crave sweeteners or nothing. Like, I craved so much on keto, but all the cravings went away by like the 2-week mark.
Yeah. So if they just kind of get over that hump, and then even if they go back, when they go back, they'll realize, oh, that's why I felt better before. If people want to reach out to you, Justin and Hayley, do you have an Instagram or a YouTube or anything like that?
I have a YouTube. It's Metabolically Lifted.
Yeah, you can see the name.
I'm just starting it. Yep.
Yeah, there's not much on there yet.
Not much on there yet.
We're gonna throw whatever we got on there. So we'll do some comedy, maybe some skits.
Do another impersonation.
But we'll do like informational videos too here and there.
Yeah.
But have you ever heard of Jason Fung?
Yes.
Okay.
Do it.
Fasting is so important when you're following the diet because fasting brings down the insulin, and insulin is what stores the body fat. Who else? Oh yeah, Paul Mason.
No.
Oh, Dr. Mason. You know that guy?
Dr. Paul Mason here. 2013. It was found that all-cause mortality, higher cholesterol, you live longer. Period. Or something like that. Something like that.
Wow.
Ooh, you know how Carrie from Homestead How is doing the Healing Humanity documentary? We've met him a couple times, but he does a really good Carrie impersonation too.
This is Carrie from Healing Humanity, and I just want to thank you all so much. I'm so grateful for everyone to come out here to the Montello Theater. We're doing a documentary, Carnivore. All you need is Carnivore, guys. So I don't know if you know him that well, but
these are really good impressions. So you've just always been good at doing impressions?
yeah, like my friends tell me that, and so I've come to the conclusion that maybe I am something I should do. I don't know. It's just it comes from the core, the ether. It doesn't.
But so I'm interested. Do you just listen and you can copy, or do you have to kind of work it up and practice?
It comes very naturally.
That's really natural. He's pretty good.
Wow.
He also really well too.
We're not playing piano.
I know, but he's like a musical genius and comedy genius.
If people want to see skits, informational things about Carnivore and impressions, they can head over to Metabolically Lifted. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for coming on and sharing your stories with us. I really appreciate your time, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dave. It's great to see you here and digitally meet you there.